We're going to talk about the top three banks that are approving new LLCs, 0% interest business funding. So you're going to be able to launch, start, grow, scale with a 0% interest capital. Watch the entire video. So let's just be on the same page. So for the purposes of our presentation, new, the term is going to basically be a business that's formed at least for 6 months, but not older than 1 year. It's going to make sense as we get into it. So let's get straight to it. So why does even 0% interest business funding matter for a new LLC? Number one, simple answer, it's opportunity. Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. So typically you can get up to $50,000 at 0% interest per bank. I'm going to be giving you three banks you can go to. So obviously the maximum potential just with that is 150,000. And this is without having to provide income proof. A lot of factors will go into this, obviously, as far such as your personal credit strength, your industry, things of that nature. But getting free money in terms of a 0% interest period, you can't be too bougie when it comes to it, right? It's perfect for startups when it comes to payroll, marketing. If you're just starting, payroll might not be as relevant, but marketing, inventory capital if you're doing e-commerce, things like that. And then at the same time, it's helping build your business credit. So keep that in mind. Let's get straight to it. So number one, Citizens Bank, right? So this is a regional bank. And if you don't know, basically banking comes in different categories. So number one is going to be national banks. So banks that are literally like in all states. Regional banks are going to be banks that are just in certain locations. So Citizens, as you see, I think it's in like 15 states, but I have them right here. And then you're going to have credit unions as well, right? So local. So you want to look at it in terms of three different levels. If you want a resource for doing extra research, go to bankbranchlocator.com. iBankNet is one of them as well. So there's different resources. So key thing to know, this goes back to the definition that we're agreeing upon as we have this presentation. Citizens Bank requires you to be at least 6 months in business for a business credit card. The beautiful thing about them, though, that I like is that when it comes to the business line of credit, you only need 1 year established in your business. Most institutions you're going to see, it has to be at least 2 year old LLC. So those of y'all that are 1 year in business, if you have the bank statements to support at least maybe 10K per month, you can get business line of credit as well. But if you're super new, 6 months, you haven't made income in the business, then cool, you can still get, approval at Citizens Bank. So keep that in mind. Fast approval process through a BRM. BRM is Bank Relationship Manager. If you don't know what a BRM is, it's essentially an insider that works in the bank. They're a rep within the bank. They typically work with underwriting, so they communicate with underwriting during the process. So that makes your approval usually a better approval, essentially. And then with them, you can get up to $250,000 in funding, and they typically pull Experian, soft pull. So receipts purposes, if you watch my channel, I'm big on receipts. If you're watching this video, if you're watching other people's videos and you're trying to determine, okay, who should I work with when it comes to getting my funding, make sure when you watch their videos, they have receipts. I literally have a playlist where I'm walking through different clients and their approvals, right? If they can't provide you with receipts, if you don't see them post about receipts, then they might be new or maybe they're capping. I don't know. So just have common sense when it comes to this. So I want to talk about my client Orlando. We helped him secure $50,000 at 0% interest through Citizens Bank, right? That was not the only bank, but he had a personal credit score of 750. He's in Florida. For whatever reason, I get a lot of clients from Florida. I'm personally in Texas, so I get Texas clients here and there, but a lot of people come from Florida and New York. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. So Orlando, he's approved for $50,000 business credit card through my BRM at Citizens Bank, right? And this is the thing too, just as far as the transparency. So my BRM typically gets these approvals done within 72 hours or so, but sometimes it's even less. I had a client, Glenn, got approved in 24 hours. But in Orlando's case, it took about 2 weeks just because he had forgot to unfreeze his Experian credit report. So this just gives you the transparency of remembering anything can happen. Part of that is on us because, in our onboarding when we're bringing on clients, we're letting them know that, but We could have done even more due diligence to confirm that. As you see on the screen right here, $50,000 is a 0% interest business credit card for 12 months. So this is one option that you can go with, right? All right, number two, popular one you're going to see everybody talk about. It's kind of changed now because now the BRMs they really want to work with people that are at least $1 million in revenue and 2+ years in business. But I would be remiss if we don't talk about Chase Bank. So it's a national bank, obviously. So a key thing to know about Chase Bank is that they pull Experian in most cases. So it can vary. Like I said, I have a lot of Florida and New York clients, and I've always seen Experian be pulled. Higher limit approval process is going to be done through a BRM. I'm going to walk y'all through and show y'all why it's very important to work with the BRM and just show y'all like data driven results. They're very big on comparable credit. If you don't know what comparable credit is essentially these banks, these lenders looking at what you have and what you're managing on your personal side, and then they compare that to what they're gonna lend you. U.S. Bank, I'm not talking about U.S. Bank in today's video, but U.S. Bank particularly, they're very, very big on that, right? I've spoke with my BRMs and they're very big on that comparable credit. So the biggest thing with comparable credit here is if you already have a Chase Bank personal card, then that's good. At least 10,000. I've seen the people that have at least 10,000, get these 50, $75,000 approvals, right? So just keep that in mind. Even if you just have a 10, $15,000 personal credit card from a different institution, they just want to see that you're managing something on your profile. This is how we get into the conversation of your credit score doesn't necessarily matter. It's more about your profile. So, just quick commercial break, by the way. If you do have any negatives on your credit or your credit is less than a 700, less than a 680, worst possible case scenario, we have the team to help you fix your credit. So that's something you can do as well. Maybe I'll leave a link below, or you can get into our university, do your DIY thing. But I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you're at least 720 plus, right? So just remember they're big on comparable credit. So make sure you have personal credit lines and make sure that they're underutilized. 9% or less is what we recommend. So I also highly recommend that you open a business checking account and deposit some money in there, right? So you can deposit 1,000, 500, whatever you want to do. So keep that in mind. All of this is just showing the relationship. Again, y'all know I'm big on receipts. So we have our client Laura. So she was able to secure $50,000 at 0% interest for 12 months through Chase. She actually got denied doing it on her own. So she had a 730 personal credit score. And again, she's in Florida. I get a lot of Florida clients. So she was initially denied the same card that we went for. What happened though? She did it on her own. She went online and applied on her own. She didn't have any relationship. She didn't know anything about business funding. She just has a roofing company that they're looking to grow, right? So the reason cited was too many recent hard inquiries. So it was just going application after application. Didn't even know what these banks are looking for, just applying, and getting denied, right? So then we ended up fixing the situation. We helped her remove that with our done for you funding service. Our team stepped in. We also restructured her credit profile in terms of just fixing some minute things. So with our credit report re-optimized, we applied through our bank relationship manager. And in this particular case, we're able to request a specific limit that we want via DocuSign. So it's a different application versus just going online and applying. So this was good because her new LLC was approved for $50,000 at 0% interest business. Zero, $50,000 at 0% interest for 12 months, right? So she was approved for that. And her situation was different. I'm not going to say this is how everybody's situation is going to go, right? Because obviously, like I told y'all with Orlando, he took longer than the average time we usually take for clients. So I wanted to point that out. Her situation was a lot faster than what it usually is. So her situation took 5 days. Usually takes about 7 to 9 days per se. And then, as y'all see on the screen, the receipt is right there. All right. So I want to just talk about BRMs real quick, and this is just understanding the reality of how the game works. Because this is a game. Banks are always changing, so you have to play unfair. You have to give yourself an unfair advantage, right? You can't win the game of life by playing fair. So the BRM advantage, this is going to help you maximize your funding potential. or you could just struggle by choice. It's your choice to struggle if you're watching my video and choosing to continue to do it on your own versus getting with someone like myself that has all the resources, right? So working with a bank relation manager is it's your biggest advantage because like I said, you're literally playing the game to give yourself the best opportunity that you can get. Banks are always changing their rules, they're becoming stricter and stricter. And to be transparent, right now it's a situation where you have to be at least 2 years in business or have like a million plus in revenue, or Chase does not really want to deal with you like that, right? So just keep that in mind. So with the BRM, right? BRMs they work directly with underwriting and they work like a reference for a job application. That's the best way for me to describe it. And I know a lot of y'all that you're a new LLC, you don't make money in your business, you're probably coming from the 9 to 5 world. So I wanted to use that example when we talk about references in a job application because you're used to the 9 to 5, so you know how that shit works. So this should be a simple example for you to understand why a BRM is so important, right? So this is a game of relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know. This is a game of relationships. This is a game of relationships. So fully understand if you haven't been doing funding for years, have consistent results and all that, understand that a lot of other funding people you may see, maybe they're posting videos, they're not posting receipts, they're just talking theory and all that. They haven't understood that this is a game of relationships, right? They should come and work for someone like me versus trying to work their struggling business. No, but that's a whole different conversation. So look below at the results that we get when we have these relationships, right? So as you can see on the screen on the left, $75,000 approval. To be transparent, this was a business owner that was established, so that's why I didn't include it in the example. And then again, we talk about the $50,000 example. But when you apply on your own, this is what happens. This is potentially what happens, right? Without a BRM, you got to understand if you're a new LLC and you don't make income, they already don't want to fuck with you in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be in a situation where you're working with a BRM, especially if your business doesn't make money. So this is what can happen, right? So this is an online place where they post, their approvals and what happened when they apply for stuff. So you see Inc. Business Unlimited here. This person had annual income of 6 figures, 150,000. Credit score is 760, damn near 800. They had credit age, they got denied. You see that? Again, this person actually got approved, but look at the limit. They got only 5,000. What you gonna do with 5,000 for your business, right? This is why the smart option is just to work with a funding expert that has already posted numerous results, right? You see 50,000, you see 75,000. Look at you. Do you want to be that person that gets 5,000, maybe 10,000 max out over there? Or do you want to just be somebody that's smart and just work with someone like us that already has these connections? We have a proven blueprint. We have data. We have a data-driven approach, right? Because I have relationships. I have all these relationships, right? So just understand that. That's my point. Number three, Truist Bank. So it is a regional bank as well. So again, Florida is where I get a lot of clients, Texas as well. So keep in mind that they do pull Equifax. So if you understand how to remove experience hard inquiries, which are easy to remove, that's cool. But you got to understand too, understand how to remove Equifax hard inquiries. Fast approval process through BRM again. They've gotten stingier over times and they're more relationship based than ever. So just keep that in mind. I would recommend you open a business checking account and deposit some money in there so you build up that relationship. Again, I would be remiss if we're not talking about receipts, right? If you're watching these funding people on YouTube, on IG, etc., make sure that you're watching their videos and seeing receipts. If you go to my YouTube channel, if their YouTube channel does not look like mine, where they're posting receipts, right? If they're just talking, 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 they're talking about all these concepts and all that, but they can't post receipts of people they've helped, I would run away. So just keep that in mind, right? So my client Marcus, he had a 752 Equifax credit score. And again, Florida. So he did have an established Truist business checking account, which is what I recommend that you do. That's what we have people do as a requirement, when they work with us. To be transparent, it wasn't the highest approval. It's high for Truist, but obviously I showed y'all 50,000 back to back in the previous bank, Citizens and Chase. But yeah, so his highest personal credit card was 12,000. So that's good for a comparable credit. And then our BRM was able to help him get a $20,000 0% interest business credit card, which is very good when it comes to Truist because this is an example that shows you the BRM importance because you can go to Truist by yourself. Maybe you get 10 to 15,000 just based off of, being lucky in the algorithm. But when you work with the BRM, you're opening your options to now, okay, 20,000 and then even maybe 25,000. So just keep that in mind. I wanted to put different banks where they're pulling different bureaus just so y'all can have different options. Because sometimes some people are like, oh, my Experian, my TransUnion is not good. It's just Equifax or vice versa, So just keep that in mind. So this is a third bank. If we go off of just what you could potentially get. So I showed y'all Citizens Bank 50,000. I showed y'all Chase Bank. That's an additional 50,000. Just those two banks is 100,000, right? Now let's talk about Truist, right? Let's say you get 20,000, right? This is all through BRM. So you're potentially getting $120,000 at 0% interest just from leveraging somebody else's relationship, you know? If you're doing it on your own, you might get a $5,000 chase card, right? So I don't know what you'll max out at. Maybe you get a $10,000 Truist card if you're lucky, right? Two banks and you didn't even scratch $20,000. So keep that in mind, right? Use sense when you're watching my videos. Like just think logically of what you should do. So some honorable mentions: Bank of America. So I wanted to include them too, just because I wanted to touch all three bureaus. So they pull a TransUnion on the business side. On the personal side, it's usually Experian. So you can actually get up to three cards approved if you're approved for the first two that you're applying for. There's 0% interest for 9 months. And then I recommend you build a relationship. It's not necessary. I've gotten clients approved with a relationship and without relationship. But if you have a relationship, it's always good. And preferably, if you could put a large deposit in a business checking account, that would be good. Let's say you're building your situation, right? You go get a personal loan from like a Upstart or SoFi or something. Use that deposit that you got to open an account, or just, I'm just giving y'all a simple example of what you could do. It doesn't even have to be literally like money from your checking account. It could be you're using your good credit to leverage your personal side to feed the business side. I think y'all get what I'm saying. So with Bank of America, we usually see clients get 16,000, about 16,000 on the first card, and then 8,000 on subsequent cards. So work with a BRM if you can as well. And then Amex honorable mention as well. You can get charge cards, you can get 0% interest cards over there. They're gonna pull Experian. It's great if you establish a relationship on the personal side, but it's not necessary, but it's preferable. And preferably you have 720 plus, right? Because if you're under 700, I wouldn't apply to Amex personally. And then we've seen clients to be transparent. We've seen clients get lowballed at 2 to 10K limits on the 0% interest Blue Biz cash card, but we've also seen client get $50,000 approval. So it just really depends and it can vary. And then, like I said, you can also go for the charge cards, which are the platinum, gold, so you got options. Just wanted to include those. So if you want to maximize your approval odds, number one, credit score, credit profile is going to be very important. Make sure you're 700 plus, right? You're too grown to be walking around here and not have a 700 plus credit. I understand, life happens, situations can happen, but if your credit is not where it's supposed to be, maybe you have negative items and all that, get in our university and start fixing your credit, or book a call with our team and we'll be able to, help you. I put out a video previously about one of the clients that I think I don't know if we released it yet. We helped them get a settlement check from Equifax. So keep that in mind. Like we have the resources here if you need for your credit, right? But primarily, I'm assuming you're already ready to go. Make sure you have no negative items. Make sure you have 9% or less utilization. Have comparable credit, which means at least one 10K plus personal card if possible. So yeah, do what you can with that. LLC registration, obviously being a new LLC, 6 months or younger, you want to officially be registered with the Secretary of State because they're gonna confirm that, have your EIN ready, all that. And then bank relationship manager, very, very important. Work with a BRM or a funding expert that has one to maximize your approval odds, right? It's up to you if you want to play the game on hard mode or not. So keep that in mind. And then always call the reconsideration line. So you can always ask for more even after you are approved. So this is the reality, right? I gave you some banks. I gave you the top three. I even gave you an additional two. So I over delivered, as they say, right? So I gave y'all five banks. Cool, right? Finding the banks and everything, we know that that's the first step. You still have new problems now, right? So insider connections, BRMs, maximizing your business funding approvals is about relationships that you have. If you just want to get approved, even if it's like 2,000, 5,000, like you don't care about the amount, then okay, cool. You don't need no BRM. But I work with winners. I work with winners that want to maximize the approvals that they get. All these winners that I posted in the previous slides, they came to me. They were watching me on YouTube. They're, getting referred to me. They're like, okay, I know you're the person that has the relationships. I know you're the person that is the mediator, the person that's getting people these high limit approvals. Let me just work with you, right? If you have that line of thought, then okay, we have a link below where we'll be able to potentially help you. But I need y'all to understand that you don't have the insider bank relationships I have. You don't have the data that we have, right? Chances are, if you're watching this, you're looking for funding for yourself. You don't do this as your business. So keep that in mind. The best option is to leverage someone that's already doing it. Think about your industry right now. Imagine I'm trying to come into your industry and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm just going to do that roofing project on my own. I'm just going to do this e-commerce stuff on my own, right? You knowing all the stuff that you know as an expert in your industry. Imagine me as a newbie coming into your industry. That's what it's looking like when people come in, they're trying to do their funding on their own. So keep that in mind. Further proving my point, application mastery. Each bank has its own unique language that they want to see on their applications, right? So if you don't understand how to fill it out, you don't have those relationships, you're just creating a recipe for disaster. You cooking a meal of disaster and it tastes terrible. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. It could have been avoided if you just work with an expert that already has results. And a hard inquiry management. So kind of like what I told you about my client Laura, having all these hard inquiries, not knowing how to remove it. So just understand that when we have our done for you funding service, we're helping you take care of this. All right. So I just want to end by saying that relationships are worth more than money. Right. So this is your opportunity to leverage my direct help and access my network of relationships to maximize your funding for your new LLC. You got to remember, banks don't want to fuck with you already. So it's damn near. I don't want to be so upfront, but it's damn near required that you work with the BRM because they don't fuck with you, especially if you don't have income in your business. So just keep in mind. Just keep that in mind. If we're gonna be frank with each other. All right, so if you're ready to fund your new LLC, so now that you've been educated, you literally got two options. Number one, you can try to do it on your own without the proper guidance and relationships, even after I've already given y'all all the information here. Or number two, you can work with us and leverage our relationships. You can click below to learn more. We'll have resources down there. With that being said, y'all have a blessed one.